what I am planning to do is, earlier I started with a simple problem and we were trying to complicate, okay. Now we may not have much time for that, so I'll start with a complicated problem and then I'll show you some simple problems towards the end, okay, for this technique. We will see the similarities and differences between the two. I think I will start with that anyway. Again, here I have removed Skinner's book because Skinner does not discuss about the branch and bound. So, okay, first bullet, can you read? Similarities between, I have not told you what branch and bound is all about, but anyway we'll use this as a first slide. I'll explain subsequently. Both. For backtracking, we already constructed state space. For branch and also, we are going to construct state space. Next point. As before, they reflect the choices made for the solutions components, like before, because these are all similarities. Next bullet. This is what we had seen earlier. So pruning, we use the term pruning, so we are not going to consider the choices. So these are the similarities between the two techniques. Differences. At that back, somebody at the back. So we have seen all the problems we had seen in the last session. For backtracking, they are all non-optimization problems. But branch and bound, we are going to apply only for optimization problems. What are optimization problems? How do you define an optimization problem? So we call that as an objective function. Something that needs to be maximized, maximized or minimized, completed. Subject to, you are given some constraints. Okay, subject, that is called as an optimization problem. And we apply branch and bound only to optimization problem. We will see how we do that. Next bullet. So these are the two differences. The problem for which each technique is applied. Second, the way in which the state space tree is generated. For backtracking, it is depth first. For branch and bound, we have not explicitly stated how we are going to handle it. We will see subsequently. In the problems, we will handle, they are very simple, which we can handle later. We will start with a more complex problem. This is where we are bringing the word bound. Branching we had already seen. In backtracking also we were branching. Now we are bringing in a bound. What are we saying? How are you discarding a particular branch or a particular, how are you pruning? If you realize, supposing you are interested in maximizing, you have already got something. If you go along that branch, you will get the upper bound as 100. I have somehow computed and say, if you go along this way, the upper bound can only be 80. I have got a better solution by going through another branch. Why should I try this? I will cut it. So what do? We associate a bound value with each node, which we had not done earlier. There was no necessity. We are just looking at all possible candidate solutions. Now what are we going to do? We are going to have generate nodes, and with nodes we are going to associate bound value. And the bound value will be used in pruning. So this will not result in a better optimal solution. Don't go further. Maximum you will get only 90. But that way it is 100. So why at all waste my time here? Because it is a maximization problem. Okay? This fathoming is a word I don't know. I came across in this PPT. That's why I wanted you to look at it. So basically all your branch and bound, your backtracking, they all apply divide and conquer in some way or other. Because it's a big space, we divide it into smaller, we try to solve. Okay, so the divide and conquer is a basic technique. Maybe that's why they've called these also as design techniques, but basically they are search techniques. So branching we have already seen. So this fathoming we have not seen with respect to the bound, which is a new thing in your branch and bound technique, right? So let's, okay. So we will look at an integer programming problem. What is a linear programming problem in the first case? What do you mean by linear programming? Have you heard of linear? You would have studied it in good. So already you have seen linear programming and simplex using linear programming. Good. Did he talk about integer programming? Today. Good. Okay. So basically, very good. I didn't realize the pathway. Okay, good. I'm very happy. So I think my job won't be that tough. Okay? I thought I have to start with LPP. Finite. So the linear, because maximizing a linear function, it satisfies finite set of linear constraints. Okay. The constraint being a linear inequality. This you have already seen. A simplex method solves it. Is it a polynomial time algorithm? Simplex, is it an efficient algorithm or a polynomial time algorithm? Yes. Okay, it's just a polynomial time algorithm. Okay, simplex. LPP goes into the class P, set of all problems that can be solved using polynomial time. Why that professor mentioned this here is integer programming is non-polynomial, exponential. Okay, this can be solved in using polynomial time. Okay, that is why professor did not mention LPP in the morning. So, but this only one additional requirement. What is that requirement? The variable should be integers. That makes the problem into complete. Okay, so this is normally whatever that you see, similar problems, one will belong to class P, the other will belong to class NP. That is the beauty of your NP complete problem. Shortest path, is it a polynomial time algorithm? Shortest path in a graph. Can it be solved using polynomial time? Yes. Longest path? No. Okay, longest path is an NP complete problem. So likewise, Hamiltonian cycle is an NP complete problem. Euler-Tor is a polynomial time. Euler-Tor is, in your Hamiltonian cycle, each vertex is visited exactly once. In your Euler-Tor, each edge is visited exactly once. So Euler-Tor you can find in polynomial time, but Hamiltonian cycle is not. So that is where the beauty of your NP completeness is. So now we are going to look at, as we said before, we apply this branch, backtracking and branch and bound only for problems which have exponential solution space. That is why we have picked up integer programming problem. Somebody volunteer? This is again a new term. What does this term mean? LP, because we'll be using the substitution. LP relaxation. What does it mean? That's all. What is happening? You are given an integer programming problem. So you are given an objective function which you have to maximize. We'll assume that it is maximization. That is the standard form. So we'll assume that you have to maximize an objective function. You have a set of constraints. Plus you want the variables to be integers. That is your integer programming problem. Now we are removing that variables being integers. We are removing that requirement, and we are replacing that by appropriate continuous variable by giving the interval. Then what you get is an LP relaxation problem. So our objective is to solve an integer programming problem using branch and bound technique. We are picking up integer programming problem because it belongs to class NP. So that is going to be used, that is going to be solved using branch and bound. But to solve that, we are going to solve what we call as an LP relaxation problem concerned with the IP problem, where the additional requirement that the variables are integers, that alone is removed. Objective function remains the same, the constraints remain the same. Okay, that is called as an LP relaxation. This is what I wanted you to realize. இல்ல இது முதல்ல this relaxation technique எதுக்காக relaxation பண்றோம்? Why? Okay. Yes. So you studied LP problem, you have studied simplex method, that is solvable in polynomial time. But integer programming, non-solvable in polynomial time. That is an NP-complete problem. So using LP relaxation technique, what are you achieving? NP-hard optimization problem is solved using a related problem which can be solved in polynomial time. Next. எதுக்காக நான் solve பண்ணணும்? My problem is only to solve an integer programming problem. But what are you saying? Remove that additional. My problem is to solve an integer programming problem. I want all the variables to be integers. Now what am I saying? Remove that additional requirement. Solve a related LP. Then what am I doing? Why am I doing that? So the problem remains the same. Solving an integer programming problem. So with the variables should be integers. But because it is tough to solve, getting an exact solution in polynomial time cannot be dreamt of. So we are solving a related LP problem which has efficient algorithm basis. Then use the solutions to get the solutions for the integer programming problem. Right? These are the observations. So I said you are using the solutions of the LP relaxation problem. How am I going to use it? This is what next person. Very simple. The more constraints, okay, I am going back to set theory. We have a set which satisfies some conditions or constraints or whatever. I am putting additional constraints on those constraints. That is, I am making the constraints more rigid. Will the set become smaller or the set become bigger? Yes, right. So what are we trying to say? Integer programming is more constrained. LP relaxation is not constrained. If the relaxed LP problem has an integral solution, it is integer. Already, it so happened, you have come up with an integer solution. Then that will act as the optimal solution for your integer problem also. That is no big deal. Are you understanding? I want the variables to be integers. So what did I say? Remove the additional requirement. It is not a condition. It is not a constraint. It is a requirement that xi should be integers. Remove that extra requirement and try and solve it. Ignoring that xi should be integers. What happened? The solutions happen to be integers. That's what I wanted. So that will be an optimal solution for the integer program also. Is that clear? That is very straightforward, very simple. Next point. So assuming that we'll talk only about maximization problem. We are not talking about minimization problem. So what are we saying? The optimal solution that you obtain for LP relaxation will be greater than or equal to the maximum value which you obtain for an integer, because you have relaxed the constraint. Okay, this is more constraint. So that will be, I will show you that graph, you may understand better. So LP relaxation, whatever maximal value you get, will be greater than or equal to the maximum value that you want for the integer program. This is one observation we are making. Yes. So we have been saying we need bound. For maximization problem, we need upper bound. For minimization problem, we want lower bound. Okay. So if something has minimizing the cost involved or whatever, if some way will have a smaller lower bound, I will go along this path. So if you want to maximize something, I will go along the path which has a maximum better upper bound. Okay. So bound has to be brought in for your branch and bound technique. So what did we say in the second point? LP relaxation's optimal value will definitely be greater than or equal to the optimal value of this. What am I going to do with that? Use that as an upper bound. Okay, so that is what you are going to do. The optimal value of this is used as an upper bound for the optimal value of the integer program. And this is the integer programming which you are looking at. Maximize. All of them are linear equation with linear constraints. Okay. x1, x2 less than or equal to 6, phi x1, and these are usually non-negative inequality you will have in your LP problem. That is, you would want x1, x2 to be greater than or equal to 0. Here, we want them to be integer as well. Okay, so that is the additional requirement for your integer. Other than that, it remains the same objective, etc. All of them are linear. Okay, so linear constraint, linear objective. I like this graph. That's why I picked up. I didn't thought. I picked it up from there. Okay. Now, can you understand what we are there? It has animation, but I just want you to guess what he's trying to show in this. Any LP problem, I mean, if you had seen the graphical representation, you would have seen. We know dot dot. Okay, we will start. What are these dots? Suma, try and guess. Huh? Feasible. What are those dots? I am starting with dots. Feasible. Those are all integral values. Okay, so we are talking about x along one direction, x1, x2. That's why we have a bidirectional graph. x1 along one direction, x2 along another direction. We are saying x1 and x2 are integers. So what is shown here as dots are the integral values of xi, x1 and x2 integral values. நீ ஏதோ சொன்னீங்க feasible. Feasibleனா என்ன? எது feasible? இப்போ இந்த படத்துல எது feasible? He is right. So the colored region is called as the feasible region. So the colored region, how do you think we got? Correct. He is right. So feasible region na enna? What do you mean by a feasible solution? Best illa, best is optimal. Huh? Possible sollapodadu, better. Satisfies the constraint. Feasible solution enna? Those values which satisfy the constraint. Among the values which satisfy the constraints, you want the optimal value. It could be maximal value, minimal value. So this is the feasible region. So other base funny, how did we get correct? Let's satisfy the constraint. So எப்படி இது வரையிறது? என்ன constraint? So draw, very good. So draw a line x1 plus x2 is equal to 6. Draw a line 5x1 plus 9x2 less than equal to 45. So ரெண்டு லைனை நம்ம வரைஞ்சிர போறோம். And all the feasible solutions will be less than, below, within that region. Because we have said x1 and x2 should be greater than or equal to 0, we are looking at the positive quadrant, first quadrant. Okay? இப்போ அந்த animation போடுறேன். So that line is x1 plus x2 is equal to 6. Because when x1 is 0, x2 takes the value 6. When x2 is 0, x1 takes. So this is the line x1 plus x2 is equal to 6. This is the line 5x1 plus 9x2 is equal to 45. So when x2 is equal to 0, x1 takes the value 9. When x1 is equal to 0, x2 takes the value 5. So we have those two lines. So all the, and x1 should be greater than 0, y x2 should be greater than 0. So this colored region is the feasible region. So set of all variables which satisfy the constraints. And the dots எதுக்கு போட்டாங்கன்னா, because it is an integer programming problem, we are looking at only the integer values of. So this is the representation of, number we have not drawn your objective function, we have not drawn. What is showing here is the objective function and the objective value. Okay? What is that objective function? What is the equation? 5x1 plus 8x2. Okay? You want to maximize 5x1 plus 8x2. 5x1 plus 8x2. Remember that. So 5x1 plus 8x2, taking the value 20. Okay, z is equal to 20. So appropriately 5x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 20. See where it cuts the x1 axis. So x2 is equal to 0. So 5x1 is equal to 20. x1 is equal to 4. Okay, so this is the line 5x1 plus 8x2. And you keep moving that line. Okay, 5x1 plus 8x2, you keep moving the line. What do you mean by moving the line? Because the slope is the same, you will be drawing parallel lines. Are you understanding? Initially, we have drawn this line. Initially, we have drawn this line. And I want to maximize the value. So, I have to draw another line. But the slope is the same, 5x1 plus 8x2, y is equal to mx plus c. That has not changed. Slope is the same. So, what do? We try to draw another parallel line. And you keep moving the parallel line, which will keep increasing the z value. We are interested in getting the maximal z value. Okay. Again, this is a theorem. I don't know whether this is given in Corman. So this is discussed in Corman. So where they say the maximum value is obtained at the vertex. The vertex it will be found here. Where the okay, so that is the theorem which is proved. So you keep moving. So this is the optimal value. So given an LP problem, without the additional requirement, you try to solve using your simplex, you will end up with values. You will end up with x1 and x2 as 2.25 and 3.75 and the objective as 41.25. It can't be more than that because when you move the line up, it goes beyond your feasible region. So that is the maximum value that you can get for the maximization problem. Okay. So now, is this an integral solution? No. If it were an integral solution, my job done, finished. But it is not an integral solution. And what did we say? The solution that you obtain for the LP relaxation acts as an upper bound for your maximization. So what are we trying to say? Your optimal value for the integer program cannot exceed 41, less than or equal to 41, because it is an integer, x and y, x1 and x2 are integer, so it can't be the optimal value is not going to be a decimal number. Okay? So that we can gauge from here. So we have got the upper bound for your integer programming's optimal value. What do I do with that? So what am I going to do? Basically, what is our objective? Divide and conquer. One problem we started, we solved the LP relaxation, we have got a bound for the optimum value that I am looking for, but I have to continue. This is not what I am going to get because it is not integral. So how do you think I am going to divide? On what basis? Guess. Divide in a big problem, cut it into smaller problems. So divide and conquer, the smaller problem has the same nature as the big problem. Remember, sorting, smaller list of sorting. Searching, smaller list of searching. Big problem converted into problem. The definition does not end there. Smaller problems of the same nature. So you start with a list, you split it into smaller list. இப்போ எது big, எது small? எப்படி டிவைட் பண்ண போறோம்னு கெஸ் பண்றீங்க? ஒண்ணே ஒண்ணு தானே அங்க இருக்கு பெருசா. What is there you have? சொன்னீங்கப்பா. என்னத்தை வெட்ட போறோம்? feasible region வெட்ட போறோம். பெரிய feasible region இருந்துச்சுல அதை வெட்ட போறோம். So you are going to cut big feasible region, you are going to cut it into smaller feasible region. On what basis? How? Using the integral value. Purida, we are saying this cannot be an integer. I mean, this cannot be a decimal number. 2.25 not allowed. 3.75 not allowed. So obviously, 3.75 you cut it. The continuous value anyone take any variable in the solution which is not an integral. Both are not integral. So you can either pick up x1 or pick up x2. If it is an integer, don't touch it. So pick up one variable which is not an integer, and 3.75 will not work. So what would work? Either it is less than or equal to 3 or greater than or equal to 4. So that divides your bigger feasible region into two smaller. A beautiful solution, very simple. Nothing very great about it. Okay? And it works. That is what the beauty of the solution is. That's what it says. It's the optimal solution for the LP relaxation with the optimal value as 41.25, it is not integral. So all that you can get out of it is the optimal value for your integer problem should be less than or equal to 41.25. It can't be more than that. That is the upper bound. So now what is the dividing which you are going to talk about? Partition the feasible region of the LP relaxation. How do I partition the feasible region? Choose a variable that is fractional in the optimal solution. In this case, he has chosen x2. There is no reason you can choose x1 also. Observe that every feasible IP point is the solution, feasible solution, must have either x2 less than or equal to 3 or x2 greater than or equal to 4, because decimal is not allowed. Now we have two problems, two LP problems, solve both. So, initially what are the constraints we had? We just had two constraints, x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 6 and another 5x1 something. Now we have an additional constraint involving x2. Third constraint has crept in because you tried to divide the feasible region. So this is one more constraint. Again, I think it is shown pictorially. Okay, we'll see. So branch on the variable x2 to create the two sub-problems. So this is your divide and conquer. Dividing the big problem is divided into. So the objective function remains the same. The two given constraints remain the same. Additionally, and the integer requirement I have removed because it is the LP relaxation which you are doing, and x2 is less than or equal to 3, here x2 greater than or equal to 4. So we are ending up with two LP problems. Because you have understood what it was about. So on the gap x2 between 3 and 4, that is the gap. Okay, greater than or equal to 4 or less than or equal to 3. So you don't want to have another wet edge. So this is one sub problem, this is another sub problem. And one sub problem has an integral solution, 3, 3. Sub problem 1 has an integral solution. So it has an optimal solution with value 39. Okay. We were talking about the construction of the state space tree, isn't it? So when we are talking about construction of the state space tree, I said don't go beyond if you feel that you are not going to get a good solution. So here in this terminology, he calls that as fathoming. That is, don't proceed further, dismiss, fathom. Okay. When you get an integral solution, don't go further. I already got what I wanted. I am interested in getting a maximum value. If you go further, if you are going to keep splitting, you are not going to get a better value. So, sub problem 1, which results in an integral solution, leave it as such. Don't touch it. I already have an integer solution with the value as 3 and 3 and the optimal value as 39. We call this as an incubant. Incubant, right now this is the best solution I have. Incubant, I mean, using that you are going to do your branching. Okay? So I have a good solution now, which is an integral solution, and the value is 39. And don't go further, you will not get better. So that node you will not expand. Okay? The problem 2, again 1.8 and 4, it is not an integral solution, and the value of that subproblem is 41. The optimal is integral with value 39. We can dismiss, fathom, don't continue further, stop with that. The best integer solution form is stored as an incubant. I mean, this is what I have currently. In this case, the first increment is 3 and the value is 39. And we have already solved one subproblem with LP with 41.25. So what did we say? The optimal value of the integer problem is, upper bound is 41.25. Now we have got a lower bound for the optimal value. Because I have got an integer solution 39. So it has to be, the best solution has to be more than 39, greater than or equal to. So I have got a lower bound for the integer solution. And I have an upper bound for the integer solution based on the LP relaxation which we had solved. Okay. Now again we have a variable which is continuous, which is not integral. So what do? Again we have to divide. The optimal solution is this value. So optimal value of, okay, that was 41.25. Remember? So the upper bound was 41.25 for the first LP relaxation. Now for the second problem, what do we have? The sub-problem 1 we had solved and the answer is 41. So now the upper bound, the previous, this is 41. So earlier I had the upper bound was 41.25. Now when I cut it into smaller problem, I have got a sub-problem whose maximum value is 41. So that will act as the new upper bound for my integer problem. Okay, that is what is being said here. The optimal solution is 41. Hence, the optimal value for IP is less than or equal to 41. And since I already have an integral solution as 39, the optimal value lies between 39 and 41. Now, again, I have a subproblem 2, which has a non-integral solution. So, again, we have to divide. So, we have 1.8, so less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 2. So, here the variable is x1. So, subproblem 3, new restriction is x1 less than or equal to 1. And that was solved, and this is the optimal solution. Subproblem 4, new restriction is x1 greater than or equal to, this subproblem is infeasible. We cut it, we prune it, we say it is infeasible. Why is it infeasible? New restriction, that was solved, and I have got this value. Subproblem 4, new restriction is x1 greater than or equal to 3, which is infeasible. Why? That is solved. That is solved, and I have got the optimal value as 40.55. Subproblem 4 is infeasible. Why? What do you mean by infeasible? That is not possible. Why it is not possible? Constraints. Avladhaan. Constraint satisfy pannichana it's feasible. Constraint satisfy aathodu infeasible. Enna constraint anga violate aadhu ipo potu vechirukkanum. I know you are all sleeping. English la vara pesanum. Record pannu. So I know you are all sleeping. The answer is there for you to see. Then satisfy aadhu. By x1 plus 9x2 less than or equal to 40 won't be satisfied. Because x1 should be greater than 2, that is the new restriction. Already before we had x2 should be greater than or equal to 4, the previous. So if you say the minimum value is 2 and 4. So when you satisfy 2 and 4, it won't be. So it is okay. So now, because you have got a feasible solution for the LP relaxed problem, this branch we have cut. One branch we did not part them because it was integral. So again here I try to subdivide. The solution the solution is here. The problem 3, the solution is 1 and 4.44 with the value as 40.55. So this I am not continuing because it is infeasible. So this can be further subdivided based on x2 again. It does not matter. Earlier we had applied x2 once. Even now we are going to apply x2, no problem. So here again the answer value is 4.44. So it will be x2 less than or equal to 4 or x2 greater than or equal to 5. Okay. So next branch on x2, new restriction is x2 less than or equal to 4 and subproblem 6 will be x2 greater than or equal to 5. If actually you combine all the constraints, you keep combining because I showed them in different slides, you are not able to see. Okay. So every constraint, this is an additional constraint, you keep adding more constraints. So this subproblem 3, new restriction is 2. Already x1 lies between 0 and 1 and x2 greater than or equal to 4. So the feasible region is the line joining 0 and 4. The original constraint was x2 greater than or equal to 4. Now the new constraint is x2 less than or equal to 4. So putting both together, x2 is equal to 4. And we have x1 lying between 0 and 1. Initially it was greater than or equal to 0 and because of another constraint it was less than or equal to 1. So what do we have? The feasible region is just a line segment joining 2 points. That is the feasible region. So two-dimensional region are one line item, single line item. So this is feasible, just 1 point. x2 greater than or equal to 5 அப்படின்னு வந்துச்சுன்னா x1 has to be 0 because it is constrained. So ஒரு feasible region one line, another feasible region is just a point. And the optimal solution is value 40. So you got an integral solution. You compare, when you get an integral solution, you compare it to the incubant. So you already have an incubant with value as 39. Now this is a better, so this becomes the new incubant if you are going to proceed. But I think you won't be able to proceed because all the branches are cut now. So we stop. So the integral, the optimal value will be 40. This is what I was saying. Sub problem is less than the value of the incubant, you don't bother because I already have a better. So I believe we got a subproblem 5, I missed it, whose integer value was 37. So we subproblem 5. So இதோட value is 37. Okay, that subproblem 5 was solved, that line segment, optimal value is 37. But we have got a better solution than 37, so we just don't continue. We just cut it, fathom it, dismiss it. Then that becomes the new value of the increment. We have got a 40. As an integral and its value there, thus this becomes the new optimal value is 40. Now when do you stop? When you can't proceed further, when you have fathomed it. I will show you the tree. If there are no unfathomed subproblems left, all of them have been cut, pruned, then the current increment is the optimal solution. This is an optimal solution, the optimal value. I will show you the tree. So this is where we started, the LP relaxation. Then we relaxed, so the x2 based on x2, so less than or equal to 3, greater than or equal to 4. And this had an integral solution. This was the incubant, integer solution, incubant. So we have 1.8 and 4, so we cut it into 1 and 2. This was infeasible, so we fathomed it. So we have a 40.5, this again 1 and 4, 0 and 5. So this is 37, this is 40, and you can't continue further because you have already fathomed it, you stop. Okay? So this is the tough problem which I wanted to show before I take up the easy problem. Easy problem பண்ணிடலாம்ல, தூங்காதீங்க. I want you to do this. So you take your notebook. This is an exercise to wake you all up. I don't want you to go home with sleepy eyes. That reflects badly on the teacher. I'll wake you up and then let you go. In the graph, very simple. I'll tell you how to handle it. So it's a TSP problem. TSP problem is NP complete, and TSP problem works for a complete graph. This is a complete graph of 4 with 4 nodes. Okay. How many edges will a complete graph with n vertices have? A complete graph, right? Complete 2n என்ன இப்போ 8ல வரணும். NC2 for an undirected graph and NP2 for a directed graph. Okay. So this is an undirected graph. So it is 4C2. So 4C2 is 3 into 4 by 1 into 2 is 6 inches. What is a complete graph with 3 vertices? Complete graph with 3 vertices? Triangle. Complete graph with 2 vertices? Complete graph with 4 vertices? You should not square with diagonals. This is a complete graph. So complete graph with 4 vertices will have the diagonals also. So it's a complete graph, and it is a weighted graph. All the edges have weights, and it is an undirected graph. You start from where? So AB has edges 2, 5, 3, 8, 7, and 4. Okay. Now we are going to solve this TSP using the branch and bound technique. One difficulty with the branch and bound technique is how do I come up with an initial bound? ஒண்ணுமே தெரியாது. I'm going to solve. I'm interested in coming up. This is a maximization problem or a minimization problem? So we want, assuming that it is cost, we want the cost to be reduced. So it's a minimization problem. Okay. So how do I come up with the So for a minimization problem, what did I say? You will associate what bound? Lower bound. Okay. So what is the feasible or meaningful lower bound for a TSP problem? Okay. There are many ways, and we don't want to solve it because I've just shown a simple graph. There you can solve, but given a graph with n vertices, with a complete graph, nc2, n squared edges, you can't solve. So you have to somehow compute the bound in an easy way. It should not be very tough for me to compute because I will be spending all the time there. At the same time, it should be meaningful. Okay. The book has specified two ways of specifying the lower bound for this. One, take the least weight edge. So what is the least weight edge? So multiply it by the number of cities, number of vertices. So basically, I have to traverse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cities. That is, I am coming back. So assuming that I am starting at A, B, C, D, E. I have to visit 5, come back. So how many edges will I be visiting? How many edges? 4 edges. So 4 corresponds to the number of cities. So one way of starting with an initial lower bound is take the minimum weight edge, multiply it by the number of cities. Definitely your TSP will be more than that. Okay. So the lower, that is fine, but we are not going to use that. Another way of computing the lower bound is for each vertex. Here there are only 4 vertices, so the degree of each vertex is only 3 outgoing edges. Pick up 2 edges which have smaller weights. In the sense, for A, the edges have weights 2, 5 and 8. Take the 2 edges, just make a note, AB and AD. Okay? And along with that you write the weights also. So consider 2 edges which have the minimum A weight with respect to the other edges. So with respect to A, the edges are AB and AD. The weights are 2 and 5. Likewise, you write for the other vertices. For B, what are the edges? For B, the 3 edges which are incident on B have weights as 2, 3 and 4. So pick up AB and BC. Just remember them, we will see how we are going to calculate the bound. With respect to C, AC is 1 edge, BC, so 8 and 3 and 7. So what are the 2 edges with the minimum values? BC, CB and CD, 3 and 7. With respect to D, DB and DA. DB and DA. Now, sum up all these weights. That is your S. So add all the 8 numbers. Divided by 2, because we will never take 2 edges. That is, we are saying it is a minimization problem. I may be either taking the minimum weightage or the next minimum. I don't want to take that is your heuristic. So I won't be handling both definitely, because only one edge I am going to travel. So sum up all this, which is 31, divided by 2, which is 15.5. Convert it, round it off. It is 16. Because all the edges are integral numbers, the minimum cost is going to be an integral number. So the lower bound will be an integral number. So it is a rounding off of 15.5, which is 16. Okay. Now that is where we start. Okay. So what is, and it is a traveling salesman problem. So you start at one node and come back to that node. Whether you start at A or a B or a C or a D, it doesn't matter. Okay, Are you understanding? Because it is a cycle. You can start at A, come back to A, start at B, come back to B, because you are going to visit all. So without loss of generality, let us assume we are starting at A. You don't have to start at A, you can start at any node C, you will get the same answer. Okay? So how are we going to draw the state space tree? That will specify where we are starting, A, and it will have the lower bound that you have computed. What is that? Lower bound is this branch and bound is similar to your backtracking, where you are computing your, constructing your state space tree, but with an additional bound. That is what is shown in the node, which was not there for your backtracking state space tree. So we are going to show the bound. You are going to use the bound for pruning. Okay. Now it is a okay. Another one assumption is you can start anywhere. You can start at A, B, C, D. Another thing is, I don't want to look at the same cycle again. It's an undirected graph. Okay. So one cycle could be A, B, D, C, A. The same cycle is A, C, D, B, A. You will get the same value. Are you understanding? It's an undirected graph. So this cycle also is the same cycle. This cycle is the same cycle. So the value is not going to change. So we don't want to look at duplicate cycles. So what we do is, we will assume, we will have one additional constraint saying, let's assume that I don't want to visit C before B. Okay. One additional constraint I am going to have in my tours is, the city C should be visited after B. Why do we have this constraint? So that we can avoid looking at the same tour in a different direction. So the constraint is B should be visited before. Okay. Then from A, what are the possibilities? Where all I can go? Where all I can go? I can go to B. I will show this as A, B, because it is the listing of vertices. Or bound and I know compute pannalam. I can go to C, or I can go to D. A is already visited. I can go to this B or C or D. Those are the three possibilities. You are right. We are going to prune, correct? You are right. So we are going to prune using that condition. Okay. Now, the among the three, she is already said the answer. Can I take this node, that is from A, can I go to C? No, that was the assumption. So I am not going to look at it. I am going to prune it. Okay. So I am going to look at only these two possibilities. What does this say? From A, I have to go to B. That is one solution is already, solution component is already fixed now. That A1, A2, etc., AN. So one component is fixed. What is that component? The first edge traversed by the TS, traveling salesman, is already fixed. So you have to assume AB and compute the bound again. Okay. So go back to your earlier bound. From A, you are going to assume that the edge AB exists because you have visited it. Okay. So with respect to A, what are the edges we considered earlier? Good. So that won't change because already we had considered AB. Otherwise, we have to include something else. So AB is there. In B, AB, that is from A, the two vertices which are closer. There AB is there, so you have included AB. In B, have you included, from B you have included A also. BA is also there, fine. So the lower bound will not change. Are you understanding what I am saying? AB is the edge which we have committed. We are traversing it. So that AB's weight I have to have in my lower bound. So, but it so happened I had already counted AB with respect to A, and BA with respect to B, it so happened. So the lower bound does not change. So the lower bound still remains at 16. Repeat for AD. Now you are committed with AD. But what are the two edges you had considered for A earlier? Oh, you had considered AD. So no problem. AD is committed. So, and you had already counted AB and AD. So with respect to A, no change. With respect to D, what are the edges you had committed? Again, no change. With respect to D also, you had considered A and B. So no change to the lower bound which you are computing. So the lower bound for this also remains at 16. The basic difference in the way you compute the state space tree of backtracking and branch and bound is you construct it depth-wise. You place the second queen, you place the third queen, you place the fourth queen, you construct it depth-wise. Here you will be constructing it breadth-wise, in the sense when one node, he calls this as a live node or whatever node, current node, you consider all the children first. So starting from A, I will have to look at all possibilities. So I construct all the 3 nodes, and among the 3 nodes, I choose one of them to expand, E node, they call that as E node, expand node. But what will be the E node that you expand, which is more promising? So what is that? The one whose lower bound is the smallest, because it is a minimization problem. Here we have 2 nodes which are candidates. So which one will I expand? Anyone I can expand, because both have the same lower bound. So there is a tie, so maybe you can take the first one. Okay. So from here, so AB is already seen. What are the 2 possibilities then? What is the third node which I can visit? C. That's all. So AB I am going to visit. Then I can visit C, or I can visit D. Once I have visited C, I have no other go, I have to visit D. Are you understanding? This where it stops. That's why I took only a 4 node graph so that we can finish the part. So the moment you finished, so D is already committed. Because D is already committed, the edge DA is also committed. So what is the bound value which you have got for this? Edge AB plus BC plus CD plus DA. Because after B I want to visit C. So this, assuming I visit C, I am left with the remaining vertex which is D, and I have to go back to my original place, so it is DA. So edges that we have traversed are AB, BC, CD, DA. What is the total count? Somebody say 17. Okay. Now here, but instead of C, assume that I am visiting D. Then automatically I will have to visit C and come back to the original. So CA. So what is AB plus BD plus BC plus CA? No constraint. I am not assuming any constraint. So what I am saying, it is a Hamilton, it's a TSP problem. So I have to visit all the vertices. என்ன வருது AB plus BD plus BC plus C. 21 ஏதாவது மாறிடுச்சுன்னா சொல்லுங்கப்பா. So I terminate, I don't continue further because I have nothing more to explore. Now this one I have to go further. So A and D I have already committed. So what can be after D? I can look at D, or after D I can look at C. AD we have visited, so only 2 more to go. So the next node to visit could be B, the next node could be C. 24. Ah. 24 வருதா? It is AD plus DB plus BC plus CA. Twenty? 20 ஆமா நான் யாரோ நீங்க சொன்ன 20ங்கிறான் அந்த பையன், உங்களுக்கு என்ன வந்துச்சு? That is the best. So what have you? The traveling salesman problem, you have solved it. What is that? It is A, B, C, D, A. That is the shortest. The minimum cost store. Okay? Alright? Only one more small problem. அதுவும் ஈஸி, இது மாதிரி நீங்கள் பண்ணி முடிச்சிடலாம். Knapsack problem. It is a 0-1 knapsack problem. Okay, we look at, this is the last, you can finish this in 5 minutes. So it's a knapsack problem. It is a 0-1 knapsack problem. What is 0-1? What is a knapsack problem? Do you know what a knapsack problem is? What is it? Weights, a set of items. Value, yes, that's all. So maximize the value, but you can't exceed the knapsack capacity. Does it ring the bell somewhere? என்னது இது? What is this? எனக்கு டைனமிக்கே தெரியாது. அது அன்னைக்கு no, we are, no, answer with respect to the current context. Current context, context ரொம்ப குட்டி. இன்னைக்கு மதியம் கூட இல்லை இந்த செஷன். It's an integer programming problem with just one constraint. Maximizing something. Constraint, ஒரே ஒரு constraint. நீங்க ஒரு பெரிய ப்ராப்ளம் ஆரம்பிச்சீங்களே, அதான். This is an integer program. I understand it. This is why it's called as a 0-1 abstract. அப்பனா என்ன? Portion, அதாவது there is a variation of this knapsack problem wherein you can take portion. That is, all the objects which cannot be cut, you have to take. So if it is a liquid or some food item where I can take half of a bun or half of a biscuit packet. So we have a general knapsack problem also where you can take a portion of an item, but this is a 0-1 knapsack. So 0-1 knapsack is a special case of your integer problem which you just saw. Number of constraints only one. Less than or equal to the maximum capacity. There we had many constraints. Okay. So this can be solved very easily. How are we going to solve? So the way it is organized, we have looked at, so what is given is only weight and value. So we have looked at the value per unit of weight. So V by W. Okay. So V by W is the last column which we had added. Value per weight, 1 unit of weight. So the most valuable item, I mean you have arranged that in that decreasing order. 2652. This has to be done initially before you start solving it. So the most valuable is at item 1, next. So valuable is V by W. Okay. Now, so this is the earlier which we saw was a minimization problem. This is a maximization problem. So you will have to start with the maximum bound. Okay. Some initial bound you have to start with. இப்போ நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போறோம்? Capacity is 16. Okay. So 16 units go. We'll assume that you're going to fill it up with the most valuable item. V by W for 1 unit of weight, the value is 20. How many units of weight is at our disposal? 16. So capacity is 16 kg or whatever. 1 kg's value is 20. So what is the maximum value of the knapsack that you can carry? 16 into 20. So that would be the starting upper bound. Are you understanding? Total capacity, you take 16 and you pick up the most valuable item, which is the item 1. You fill it up with just item 1. So the value of the knapsack will be 16 into 20. This is 320. That is where we start. So you will have to draw the state space tree now. This is similar to state space tree na நம்ம எப்படி வரையணும் நமக்கு தெரியணும். ஹாமில்டோனியன் சைக்கிள்ல நம்ம TSPல நோ ப்ராப்ளம். A க்கு அப்புறம் B, B க்கு அப்புறம் C. So இந்த இடத்துல state space tree எப்படி வரைய போறோம்? Am I taking one? Am I not taking one? Am I taking the second item? Not taking the second item. Similar to your subset construction. Subset. It's a subset of. You're going to take a subset of items. So, this state space tree with item 1, without item 1, with item 2, without. That is how we are going to construct. Okay. So the first one will be initial state. Not taken any item. So value is 0. Starting, beginning. So we have not taken any item and the value is 0. What is the upper bound? This is a maximization problem. So you will have to start with the upper bound. So the total capacity is 16. So 16 multiplied by the most valuable. Okay. So now we don't know whether to include item 1. So with 1, without 1. Let's assume that I am going to include 1. So when I include 1, how much weight I am going to have now? What is the weight of 1? 2. What is the value? I have picked up item 1. So the value is 40. Now you have to recompute the upper bound because you are committed to item 1. You have taken it. A1 is fixed. So what is the remaining space in the capacity? And see, remaining space in the knapsack? 14. Okay. So only the weight is 2, total capacity is 6, 16 minus 2, 14. You are going to, upper bound compute பண்றதுக்கு, you are going to fill it up with the next valuable item because I have already committed to item 1. So what is the next valuable? 14 multiplied by 6. And I have already put 1. That has to be also added. This is committed value. I have already added 40. The remaining space, I fill it up with the next valuable item. That's why we arrange it in the descending order. That way it's easy for us to pick up item. So now, what is this? 124. Huh? Okay. This is without 1. I have not picked up anything. The value is 0. Will the upper bound change? 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 இன்னொரு ஆன்சர் சொல்லிடணும். Yes. ஏன்னா without, I have removed, first item I am not going to consider. That is that branch. Then I am not going to consider the first item. I have decided. I have taken the decision. So what is the most valuable available now? Only 6. So what is the total capacity? 16. So 16 into 6 will be the upper bound for this branch. இல்லைன்னா நான் இந்த பிரான்ச்சை யூஸே பண்ணாத மாதிரி ஆயிடும் இல்லை? Okay, is that clear? I have taken a decision. I am not going to take item 1. So what am I going to do? All the entire capacity I am going to fill up only with the next valuable. So 16 into 6. So the upper bound is 90. I have to keep decreasing, otherwise I can't prove. Apron. What will be the next level? With next item. With 2, without 2. Without easy. The weight does not change, value does not change. But upper bound will change. So upper bound enna agum? The 40 order I will add. I have decided I am not going to take 2. So the most valuable is 3, which is 5. 5 into remaining space எவ்வளோ? கரெக்டாக பாருங்கப்பா, டோன்ட் ட்ரஸ்ட் மீ. கரெக்டா? வித் சொல்லுங்க, வித் என்ன? W வந்து ஏறும், பிகாஸ் ஐ எம் பிக்கிங் அப் த செகண்ட் ஐட்டம். செகண்ட் ஐட்டமோட வெயிட் என்ன? 5. ஸோ 5 ப்ளஸ் ஆல்ரெடி 2, 7. வேல்யூ என்ன? 40 ப்ளஸ் 30, 70 இல்லையா? கரெக்டாக பார்த்துக்கோங்க. ஸோ அப்பர் பவுண்ட் வில் பி the current value plus what is the remaining capacity? 9. What is the next valuable item? What is its value? அந்த அரித்மெட்டிக்கெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் செக் பண்ணிக்கோங்கப்பா. இப்போ 3 லைவ் நோட்ஸ் இருக்கு. What will I pick up? I will pick up the best one, which is going to result in the highest upper bound. So I have 115, 1110, 115, 110, 96. So again I try to expand only 115. 115 can I complete it with 3, without 3. ஒன்றுத்தையாவது ப்ரூவ் பண்ணுமே. Is it okay up till this? அதை நான் வந்து ப்ரூவ் பண்ணிட்டேன், பிகாஸ் இட் எக்ஸீட்ஸ் த கெப்பாசிட்டி, நாப்சா கெப்பாசிட்டி. இப்போ நவ் வி ஹாவ் 88, கரெக்டாப்பா? 88, 110, 96. So what am I going to look at? I am going to expand the 110. சரியா? நீங்கள் வரைஞ்சு சொல்லுங்க, போர்டில் இடம் இல்லை. இது செட் ஆகுதா பாருங்க, இது வருதா? இது வரைக்கும் ஓகே. So we have how many nodes now? So we have 196, 198, 168. So I will have to look at 98. I have considered all. So value 98. I have to expand that also. So now I have a 90, a 68 and a 96. So I have to expand this with 2, without 2. எவ்வளோப்பா வருது? கரெக்டாக பண்ணுறேன்னு பார்த்துக்கிறீங்களா? 14 தப்பா? 2 போயிடுச்சுன்னா 14. I have already taken 2, so remaining is 14, and I'll have to look at the third. 14 into 5, 70. Sorry, sir. Correct. Second item is WS5. Sorry, correct. பார்த்துக்கங்கப்பா, எங்கேயாவது தப்பு போட போகிறேன். So W is equal to 5. So remaining is 11. 11 into 55. Appa. I don't have to continue. Is it okay? Working on சரியா பார்த்துக்கங்க. So this is upper bound is only 85. I won't bother. I've already got a solution with 90. So if I continue along this path, I am going to upper bound is only 85. So I will not continue. Are you understanding? So that's why we use the upper bound. We use the upper bound to anyway it is not going to give an optimal solution. The maximum is only 85. I already have a solution with 90. Don't continue. Fathom it. Dismiss it. This is upper bound 80. Dismiss it. Check பண்ணி பாருங்க. இது என்ன branch இது? Without 4, with 3, without 4, with 3, with 1. 1 and 3. 1 and 3. So weight is 12. That is okay. 1 and 3. 90 is the value. So it's a simple problem. You can verify that it is not going to give you better. 1 and 3. 90. சரியா? So we have got the answer as objects 1 and 3 and the value is 90. உங்களுக்கு அதான் வந்ததா? சரி விடுங்க, போனா போச்சு. We will summarize. Long day to you. Right? So come to the last slide. State space tree techniques, many large instances of difficult combinatorics. That's what you see. But what is important is, it is impossible to predict. It may work, it is just a chance, may not work. Impossible to predict which will be solvable in less amount of time. You can't predict, just take a chance. Incorporation of additional suggestivity of the game board. That I forgot to mention. In your 8 queens problem also, you got one solution, isn't it? Can you get another solution using the symmetry of the board? Yes. இப்படி வச்சுக்க reflection எடுத்துக்கங்க, இப்படி reflection எடுத்துக்கங்க, you will get. Look at it. Take one solution If you are placing the first queen in the second column of the first row, you place the queen in the seventh column of the first row. Reflection. So that is because of the symmetry. So you can solve more. That I forgot to mention. Contrast to, so what is difficult here is challenge and opportunity for choosing the order of node generation. Here we have never mentioned you should go depth first or breadth first. So we have the choice. So which order is going to result in better pruning? No idea. So all that is a challenge for you to guess. Finding a good bounding function like what we have done. These were given in the text, so we just used it. How do you arrive at it? That again is not a simple task. Because we want the function to be easy to compute, nothing complicated. Okay, based on the numbers given, based on the instances, I should be able to compute the upper bound. At the same time, it should not be too simplistic. Then it won't prune. So pruning will take more time. It's not that it won't result in a wrong answer, but the tree will keep on growing. Okay? Between the two, they require this is where I'm saying we are using heuristic. It's not an algorithm basically. So striking a proper balance require intensive experimentation with wide variety neural network. Threshold. You keep trying empirically. You try to decide. For many instances, you just can't. Then you come up with a proper balance, right? So with this, we come to the end of this afternoon session. Hope you got something out of it. Okay. Thank you.
Again, on behalf of the participants, we express our thanks to Dr. Uma Maheshwari. When I say she is busy, I really mean it. She has so many other commitments which she values very greatly, and when she takes off time, it is with great sacrifice. So we really appreciate her time. On a personal note, we had the joy of sitting in ma'am's class once more. She continues to be as accessible today as she was maybe 20 years back. Tomorrow we have a talk on approximation algorithms. These are topics which will come towards the end of the semester, and therefore we will do some hand waving and not too much. So be here at positively.